All right, what we're going to do today is we're going to do a CMA, and honestly I haven't done a lot of CMAs in Matrix because it's broken. CMAs don't work quite like they're supposed to in Matrix yet. Even though there's some aspects of it that aren't working right, the system in which you put it in remains the same, and that does work very well. So what I'm going to do is just kind of touch into it and kind of show you how to get started with CMAs. And I do believe that Josh and Cindy know that this isn't working correctly, and that's something they're working on fixing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to My Matrix and we're going to go to My CMAs. Now, if I had been using this system to do CMAs for a long time, there would be a long list of different CMAs that I could go back in and access if I wanted to. These two here I just put in earlier, working through this system and figuring out what did work and what didn't work. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start a new CMA. So here, if I clicked here, I could grab an existing contact that I had and link them to this particular CMA. But I'm going to create a new contact by clicking over here, and I'm going to put this as Dan, I buy houses, and his email address is dan@ibh.com, and his phone number is 515-240-4004. And we're going to hit save. And then a description of the CMA we're doing, and we're going to say this is for Dan's new ranch. And then we need to get to the next step here. So there's not a next step button down here or anything. What we do have is this great kind of status bar running across the top. And this shows us highlighted in blue where we're currently at. We're currently at start. And how to get all the way down to being done and finished. So we're going to hit the next jump, and that's pages. And with pages, what you see is available pages over here on the left and selected pages over here on the right. Whatever is in selected pages are going to be the pages that are included in the final report. What I've done is I've went through here and grabbed all of these individual pages and put them over here. The reason I've done that is at the end we're going to create a PDF and give you access to it so that you can look at these individual pages, see what they look like, and decide which ones you want in your report. Now, let's say I didn't want this cover sheet in here. So I would highlight cover sheet and I would subtract it. And now it's gone by hitting this red X that was over here. If I wanted it back in, we'd click cover sheet over here. You can see it added it on the bottom. And let's say that I wanted that cover sheet on the top. I just click this arrow to move it all the way back up to the top. And then once I have that the way I want to, I would set that as default. Now, I have some pages that I like to use when I do a CMA or a listing presentation that aren't necessarily in here. If I wanted to kind of streamline my process of how I was doing this, I might add these selected pages or add those custom pages into my selected pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to upload custom pages. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click choose file to search for it. I'm browsing, and then here it is on my desktop, my seller's timeline. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to hit choose. Then we're going to push upload, and it's going to load it up for us, and then it's going to give us a couple of options. The first one is, you can see add header, and I'm going to unclick that. The header, we'll show it to you a little bit later as to what it is, but the header is just the top of the page, the top of the report. This would add the default header. The way that I have that PDF set up, there's no room at the top for the header, so I don't want it on this particular page, so I'm going to uncheck that. This button here clicks preview, and currently I don't think it works like it was supposed to. Oh, it's going to work this time. There we are. So it generates the preview. So actually, if that's going to work, let's add that header back in and click preview and generate it again. Okay, so that's when it wasn't working. It wasn't working when it wanted to put the header in there. So we're going to back that out and remove that, and then we're going to hit save. So now you can see we have another box all the way up here at the top that's my custom pages. And so we're going to click that, and it's going to add the seller's timeline into our default selected pages, and I'm going to now set that as default and leave that in there. So we're done with available pages and selected pages. So what we want to do now is we want to go to the next step, and that's subject. So subject, this is the subject property, and it gives us 3 different ways to find this subject property. We can type in the subject property fields manually. Click that one, and here, if this was a new listing and it wasn't yet on the MLS, we would go through, input all this information. We could upload a photo by browsing from our computer, and then we could put remarks in and give it a map location. Or if we go back here, we can type this in by just using an MLS number if it's already an existing property, or if we want to search for it, we can do a cross property search. And here is just another area that I think that this CMA isn't working very well. Let's say I wanted to search for the property and I clicked active and it was a residential, and then I knew it was a townhome. Well, right now I can't put that information in there. There's no sub property type. There's no county, there's no city, there's no area. I can't put any of the information in there that might help me search for that property and really narrow it down. So what I've done to get around that for now is I've put in my add and remove custom fields. I've added some of this like property subtype and style that would help me search for that if I wanted to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back a step and then go back to subject. And in order to save time, I already know the property I want to use, so I'm just going to type in the MLS number and then I'm going to hit fill. And it's going to automatically populate that information because it's already on the MLS. So you can see we have 645 Southeast Driftwood. It gave us a picture. There's no remarks, and honestly, I don't know where these remarks show up on the final CMA. Haven't been able to find them yet, so we'll put that in there and maybe we'll see them stick out to us. And then you might want to go through here and check and make sure that all this information is correct. Now, at the very bottom we have custom fields. One of the custom fields that I've added is the partial bath total, because when you get to the adjustments to be made for your market analysis, there's full baths, there's half baths, there's not partial baths. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I did that, and then I also added maybe deck or outbuildings. Let's add another one. And here, if I click this box right here, link to a matrix field, then I can grab a matrix field. And let's say I knew the property that I was working with didn't have air conditioning. And I knew that that would offset its value a little bit, and I wanted to be able to portray that properly to the seller. I'd come in here and I'd click this and I'd add air conditioning, and then I'd hit OK. And I'm going to save this custom fields as default. Now every time I get to this page, that's going to be just like that for me. And you can see this little link icon here. That means it's linked to a field in matrix. And you can see here where I added, for instance, outbuildings. Maybe I'm doing this for an acreage, and I think outbuildings are going to affect the value. That didn't link to a matrix field, but I still wanted to give the seller information on that, or the buyer for that matter. So I put those fields in there. So now we want to go to the next step, and that is our cover. And so it's just going to give us our general cover information. It's going to give me the subject, cover, property, contact information, and let's say Dan lives at 123 Main Drive in Grimes, Iowa 50111. And agent information. If this wasn't correct, my picture wasn't correct over here, or this information wasn't correct over here, I could edit my information by clicking right there. But for now, we're just going to go back to comparables. And so here, if we did add from listings, we could do another search. And again, just like the last search that we tried to do, some of this information that would really help us find the right property is missing, and you can't use it. So I went down and add or remove and put some of these fields in there that would help me do that search. But for now, I'm going to pretend like I was searching earlier, and I was kind of doing a little bit of research on this property, and I wasn't yet doing the CMA, but in doing my research I knew that these specific properties would help me in a CMA. So I put them in my cart. So I'm just going to click add from cart. You can see here it's defaulted to my cross property cart, and then all those listings that I went and found earlier and put into that cart, they're right here waiting for me, so I don't have to go search for them again. So here, if I wanted to, I could click this one and this one and say, you know what, I want to add only these three, or I could click all of them and add all of the selected. And now these are the comparables that we're going to use in the CMA. Now, if I said, you know what, boy, this one just really didn't look right, I don't think that's going to do a good job of helping me find value, I could remove that, but I'm going to hit cancel because we just want to leave that one in there for now. So we have our selected comparables. Now we're going to go to map. And the map is going to show us where our selected comparables are. Number one is obviously our subject property, and then the others that you see on the map here are comparables with the addresses listed by them. Now we're going to go to adjustments. So here's one of the things I actually really like about this, and I wish that it would populate these fields in some of the other categories, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Let's say a full bath to you is worth $2,500. All I have to do is type in the $2,500, the value of that product, and it will automatically show me, okay, well this one had 3 full baths, so we got to get rid of 2 of them, so we're going to subtract $5,000 worth of value. Where this one had 2 full baths, we only have to get rid of 1 of them. That's $2,500 worth of value that we're going to subtract. So rather than go and populate those individually, I just had to put in one field there. Now let's say a half bath is worth $1,000 to me. It's going to do the same thing. And then square foot, pay attention to this field. We're not going to put anything in here. We're going to wait, and down here closer to the end there's total square foot living area. But this one is something that I found broken in some of the other tests that I did. This square foot doesn't populate on every matrix listing. And this square foot is specifically how it finds out the price per square foot. So what I'm saying is, in some of the CMAs that I did earlier in researching this square foot wouldn't populate, so there wouldn't be a price per square foot over here. And to me, price per square foot is very helpful, especially with new construction. So when this wasn't populating, I really found that as a problem. So one of the ways I tried to get around it is over here, if that 1505 wasn't there, I'd put 1505. And over here, if that price per square foot wasn't here, I'd type in the price per square foot. That did not make these numbers populate on the end report. It really didn't make a difference. So we're going to hit reset, and we're going to ignore this one for now. This is one of the ones that I did talk to Josh about earlier today, and they're working on finding a solution for that. And I think that this probably coincides with the problem that Aaron found earlier, where some of the square foots weren't showing up on matrix. But anyways, we're going to keep moving forward here, and we have price per square foot, days on market, exterior. Let's say this one that says see remarks, let's say this had hardboard siding. So we're going to say, you know what, that hardboard siding is worth about a $4,500 difference, so we're going to put $4,500 in there, and we're going to subtract $4,500 of value from this particular home. And then fireplaces total, let's say fireplaces are worth about $1,000, so we're going to say that this one has 2, so we need to get rid of $1,000 worth of value. And you can see when it's subtracting, it puts parentheses around the number. We all have 3 garages, our lot size there, our style, and then here's our living area square foot. And so we're not going to get too technical here. We're just going to put in some numbers to keep this moving forward. But let's say that 130 square foot difference ends up being about $4,500. So we want to add $4,500 worth of value to this house, and this one is a little bit closer, so let's say we're adding $3,500 worth of value. This one is back to the $4,500, this one's back to the $4,500. This one's actually a little bit bigger, so we're going to subtract a little bit of value, and let's say we're going to subtract $2,500, and this one's really close, it's within a foot, so we're just not going to do anything there. And then we have acres and basement description. So here, this is a finished basement, and we're going to come back to that for a second, because as I remember, finished basement square feet's on this, but I might be wrong, but we'll come back to that if we need to. And then daylight, egress, and unfinished. So had I properly done my research here, I would know which one of these were walkouts and which ones were not. But with this one with egress windows, we're going to say that that probably is a flat lot, and we have a daylight lot, so we're going to get rid of, or we're going to add $5,000 worth of value to this. We're going to add $5,000 worth of value to this one, and this is unfinished, so we're just going to say that that's maybe a daylight, and this is a daylight, so we're going to leave it the same. This is a finished basement. Again, we're going to come back to that, and this one we're just going to pretend like it's a daylight, so we're not going to change any value there. And lot square feet, and then square foot basement, square foot finished basement. So this is where we're going to change a little bit here for square foot. Over here we changed for the style, whether or not it was a walkout lot, a flat lot, or a daylight lot. But here we're going to factor in for finish. And so this 190, that's probably just the stairs going down and then a landing. We're not going to give that a lot of value. But this one here is 800 and then 900 square foot of basement finish. So we're going to say, you know what, that's about $30,000 of value. So we're going to get rid of that because our current house doesn't have basement finish. And then it tells us the legal description, which we probably don't need in there. Newer proposed, the year it was built, zoning. And then here you can see is where we're getting into our custom fields where we added our partial bath. And let's say this partial bath is 1500 and it doesn't have one here. So we are going to give it one 1500. It doesn't have it here. So we're going to give it one 1500. And then deck, if we had a larger deck, we could change something here. Our outbuildings, we could change something here. Or if, again, the air conditioning was different and we wanted to, we could change something here. But we have our basic information in there, so we're just going to work with that. We're going to go to pricing now. And here you can see it starts to tell us where the comparable price on a low side is 260, on an average is 286, and on a high is 310, and then adjustable to 257, 278, and 308. And then here, suggested list price. Whatever you put here is going to show up directly as you input it. So you want to make sure you're doing it however you want. For instance, if I put in 150 to 175, it's not going to put in extra zeros and dollar signs for me. So if I'm telling this seller, you know what, I think this house should be 280,000 to 290,000, then that's how I want to type that out, and then I could write any other notes that I wanted in that field. And then notes is another spot, obviously, and I could put, hey, these are notes on home and pricing. And we're just going to save that and move to the next step, and we're going to hit finish. And now finish, it's just going to give us our general information, what selected pages we have, but what we're going to do then is go and view the CMA, and we could email it by clicking that other button, but if we view it and wait for it to generate a little bit, it doesn't take too long, just took a couple seconds earlier, then it's going to give us a preview of what this market analysis looks like, and we can save it from a PDF from here too if we want to. Okay, so now we have our PDF, and as we scroll through, we can kind of start to see what some of these pages look like. And here's the first page, and then here's the second page, which was the cover with photo, I think. And then as we go a little bit further, it says this is a summary of comparable listings. Now, this is, you know, I'll upload this PDF so people can see it and pick which pages they want. But one of the pages I wanted to stop and actually show you was this one, and the reason is because of the price per square foot. When we talked earlier about the price per square foot not populating, if it didn't populate before when you were doing your adjustments, then it's not going to populate here, and it's not going to give you an average here. And that can be pretty powerful when working with a seller, obviously, or a buyer. And you show them, look, hey, the average active listing price is $197.64, and this one is $174. That can be a powerful tool in helping them get to the point of writing an offer or changing a price point. So again, if that didn't populate before, it's not going to populate here. And then we have the CMA price adjustments side by side, kind of, and then CMA price adjustments side by side, and I think we'll have one more pages of that there. And minimums and maximums, this didn't really, not a lot of pizzazz to how this shows, but I did think it was a neat page because it says, hey, out of everything we searched and everything that we put in here, it was 3 to 4 bedrooms, 1 to 3 full bathrooms, 0 to 1 half bathroom, 1,500 to 1,700 square feet, and 165 to 205 price per square foot. I think that's all useful information. Then it gives us a quick number of days on the market, and then list price and sale price, and obviously we only have 2 sold, so it only gives us the sale price of 2 of those. And then brief summary of compared listings. I loved how it did this. It gave us the 2 that were active, the 2 that were pending, and the 2 that were sold, and it broke them into different categories for us and gave us the living area, the days on market, and some of the more important stuff like beds and bath. And I'd be willing, this beds and bath, or this bath is full and half here, where I think it'd be neat to be able to also have that partial in there as a note for anyone that can make that change. And then a quick summary of that information, and then the CMA Pro report, which I didn't really, I didn't care for overly. and gives us a little bit more information on active properties, lowest price, highest price, average price, pending, broken, and then also broken down into sold. I did like how it did that. And then more of the CMA Pro report summary of graph analysis. And looks like we have price point, average price, minimum price, and maximum price. And a little bit of an analysis there for the lowest price, highest price, average price per square foot. I think I probably like that column. Then a little bit more information, pricing recommendation, and here's where you're going to see where we typed some of those notes, and you can see it tells us sale price statistics, average price, high price, medium price, low price, sale price per square foot statistic, average price per square foot, high price per square foot, median price per square foot, and low price per square foot. And in summary, you can see I put $280,000 to $290,000 is what I think there, and then it's going to also populate that in the recommended price. And then you can see, remember where I wrote, hey, these are notes on the home and pricing. That's where these notes would put. So in a summary, I may type up something like, hey, the house is great, the problem is you really need to shampoo your carpet, so we can't sell it for as much as we want to. Activity and timing. This was a great graph. I love that, and it shows this is one I think I'd probably keep in my listing. And by the way, before I forgot, this is the header when it talks about a header up here, this blue with the date on it. But this was a great infographic that I thought, and it shows, you know, weeks on the market and activity, and how long that activity lasts before it becomes harder and harder to sell your house. And so, you know, how you put pricing in regards to that. So great graph on that one. And then my guarantee to you, and then the effects of overpricing. Some of these were again really neat infographics that I think I'll probably leave in my report. The benefit of using a professional realtor, market analysis explanation, the importance of pricing. This was another great one that I liked. And setting the price, the pitfalls of overpricing, and where commission goes, and the source of buyers. This was a good one that I like too. Shows where a lot of different buyers come from. And steps to a positive showing, what it takes to show. Should be getting close to the end here now. Here's our map, and I, you know, probably if I had to organize this again, obviously this would be much closer to the top. And then here's our custom sheet that we added in there. So then if I wanted to, I could save this PDF from here, but I'm just going to click back out, and let's go to my matrix, my CMAs, and there's Dan's new ranch CMA. If I ever wanted to get back into that, I could just open it up, edit CMA, view CMA, email CMA, or delete CMA. So that's how to work with a CMA in Matrix. Thanks a lot. If you have any questions, we'd love to answer them. Have a great day.